Hello folks, Dom Lawson here. It's ever so slightly nippy today, so I'm wearing a hat, so sorry about that. So today I'm going to, it's an iron sandwich thing. That's what I'm doing, that's what you're watching. Hopefully there'll be more of these soon, because there seem to be a lot of big releases coming up, which is nice. Fascinating facts, Dom. So today I'm going to talk to you about, deep breath, the new Bring Me the Horizon album, Sempiternal. Now, I gather that it's already leaked onto the internet thanks to some arsehole. So I'm sure a lot of people already have opinions on it. And this is mine. Well, this will be mine. I suppose I have to, they're obviously a contentious band in many ways. And I won't pretend that I'm the biggest fan of Bring Me the Horizon, but neither do I have any particular hatred for them or anything. That would be weird. Cards on the table then, I thought their first album was rubbish. I thought Suicide Season was pretty decent. I thought it had some great riffs on it, if nothing else. And the last album with the awful title that I'm not even going to say because it's so bad, I thought had one fantastic track on it, and the rest of it just kind of did nothing for me at all. My main problem with Bring Me the Horizon, I think, in the past has been I'm not a fan of Ollie's vocals, and I don't like his lyrics very much. Nothing personal against him. I've never met him. He might be lovely for all I know. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm not a massive fan. But obviously, the problem with doing these things is that regardless of what I say, there will be a small minority of people that will jump on it and start calling me a cunt online, which is fine. I don't care. I'm not going to read it anyway. But on the one side of things, you'll have the Bring Me the Horizon fans who obviously love the band and everything they do, and will be like, you don't like them anyway, you're just biased. Why are you even bothering to review it? Well, the reason I'm bothering to review it is I'm a music journalist, and that's kind of what I do. And this is the one of the big metal releases of the year, and metal would appear to be my area of expertise, hopefully. So that's why. On the other side of things, if I say anything positive about Bring Me the Horizon, you'll get all the nerdy metal purists going, "Oh, they're not really metal." Yeah, but they are. So shut up. It's just a different type of metal to the stuff you like. That's all. I don't think it represents any great kind of change in what metal is. It's very much a niche part of the metal scene today, and it has the part of the metal scene that Bring Me the Horizon represent has very, very different values and interests to the one that I feel a great affinity with. That's not to say that they're not a metal band, because they are, but I've never been interested in daft haircuts, designer clothing ranges, neck tattoos, all that kind of stuff. It's just not. That came from that hardcore scene, really. Ironically, the incredibly politically correct and principled hardcore scene is the one that has given us all that stuff. But anyway, there you go. But so clearly, it's not. I can't relate to the culture that surrounds bands like Bring Me the Horizon at all, and it's not an age thing. I know lots of people that are half my age that can't relate to it either. It's just whatever. But I'm in the business of reviewing music. I'm not in the business of reviewing haircuts. Clearly, mine was out of date in 1975. So there you go. Right, so it's called Sempiternal. Well, I suppose I should start by telling you what I like about it, because that's going to probably be the least amusing stuff about it. You've probably heard a lot of people saying that it's like, what's that awful phrase? It's next level. It's a next level album. Well, in terms of production, yes, it is. Now, you cannot fault Sempiternal for the production of it. It may not be to your particular taste. Obviously, aesthetically there are different views on what a good production is. But it sounds massive. Even listen to it on a stream on my laptop through my speakers. It sounds massive. It's had a lot of money thrown at it, or maybe it hasn't. I don't know. Technology these days may mean that you can get it to sound like that without spending millions. But anyway, certainly in the old days, we would have said, "Fucking hell, they've thrown cash at that." And it does. It sounds absolutely huge. The guitars are monstrously heavy, and the production is very kind of lavish and layered, and it's the state of the art 21st century metal production, and it does sound the absolute bollocks in that respect. It's certainly next level. It's certainly next level for Bring Me the Horizon as well. It's without doubt, this is their, for me anyway, their strongest album on many levels. I think I'm more likely to listen to Suicide Season, but for reasons that I'll explain later. But But it's obviously a big evolutionary step for the band, and sonically it does sound amazing. There's no doubt about it. So that's a definite plus. Secondly, Ollie's vocals, which I've never been a fan of in the past at all, are way better on this than they've been on anything else they've done. His vocals on this are much stronger, much more consistent. His screams and stuff aren't quite as I always thought in the past it just sounded like he was straining and just wasn't doing it naturally. Well, on this album, it sounds a lot more natural and it's more powerful. His lyrics are still iffy at times, but even those have improved, and I think this album sounds much more like the kind of album you'd expect from a band that are big and intend to stay that way than anything they've done before. There's nothing apologetic about it, and there's nothing half-assed about it. I think that the point about Sempiternal really is whether or not you buy into the kind of metal that it is. Is this the kind of music that you want to listen to? It's not a matter of I don't like it, therefore it's shit. I think there's going to be a vast audience of people that absolutely love this stuff, and I think there's reasons for that. I think it's a matter of what you can relate to and what pleases you aesthetically in the first place. So Ollie's vocals way better on this album. I think in terms of songwriting, I think on the whole, it's better than anything they've done before. I think there are some really strong hooks on this album, and I don't know. It's I think to be honest, I think this idea that this album is groundbreaking is where I have a problem. Really, I'll come to the specifics of it later, but I don't think it's groundbreaking at all. It just sounds amazing. It's got a fantastic production. I mean, I suppose maybe it's groundbreaking in terms of production, but in terms of songwriting, no. Really. But anyway, that's not the point. That doesn't mean it's not good. It just means I don't think it's it's not taking metal anywhere it hasn't been before. In some ways, it's taking metal to places that metal doesn't really want to go. But anyway, that's not the point. Okay, so I've listened to this album a few times through. Generally speaking, I listened to the Bullet for My Valentine album twice. That was enough, frankly. Felt queasy after once. Nearly had to take my fingerless gloves off in disgust. But yeah, so I've listened to this 4 or 5 times now. There you go, that's persistence for you. Because it's not that bad. I don't hate it, I really don't. I don't hate Bring Me the Horizon. I think, I think there are better British metal bands, but I think there are more British metal bands, but, what they do well. Really, it's just a matter of whether you like it or not. I'll probably keep saying that. Anyway, the opening track doesn't help. Now, I can't even remember what it's called. I think the opening track kind of sums things up rather well. It's called Can You Feel My Heart? Now, it's not even a metal song. Let's not pretend it's a metal song. It's not. It's lavish. It's synths up the backside. It's got a kind of dubsteppy tempo to it. And it's got a catchy chorus, but it's got fuck all to do with metal, really. I mean, there's plenty of metal on this album, without a doubt, but that, as an opening track, I don't know. It's a weird choice of opening track, but, I suppose it works in a way. It's not really my thing. And I'll tell you why it's not really my thing. It's because it reminds me of Linkin Park. Now, that synth thing, that's it. Linkin Park's formula was always pretty much, they'd have a big riff at the beginning, and then a verse where everything dropped out a little bit, and Chester Bennington was all sensitive and moody, and then the dickhead starts rapping, and then there's the rapping, and then there's like a massive chorus with a big riff, right? And that's kind of their formula. Well, this is kind of how this works, And there's a few moments on Sempiternal when the guitars drop out and it's all kind of synthy and moody, and it's a Linkin Park trick. There's no point in pretending that this is massively groundbreaking. It is if you've never heard Linkin Park. Or Depeche Mode, for that matter. I mean, a lot of this stuff reminds me of Depeche Mode, and there's nothing wrong with that, because Depeche Mode are killer, but, Anyway, so I'm not that partial to that opening track. Then there's, what's it called? Is it called House of Wolves? It's something of Wolves. The House of Wolves. There you go. Which is, I suppose, an archetypal modern era Bring Me the Horizon track, really. It's a lot of riffing and stuff, and it's got gang vocals on it. I'm so bored of hearing gang vocals, but anyway, it's got gang vocals on it, with loads of reverb on, so it sounds like there's a big crowd there. But to be honest, what that song reminds me of is In Flames, and In Flames about 10 years ago, round about the time of Reroute to Remain, which is nothing wrong with that, but groundbreaking, no. But that's right. It's a decent track. Then Empire has probably my favourite riff on the album. That's really good. Again, I don't know. It's just one of those things I can't. It just doesn't. it doesn't do anything for me on an aesthetic level. So although I can see that it's really good, and I totally get why people like it, I totally understand that. For what it is, it's brilliant, but it's just what it is I don't particularly like. I can't relate to it at all. But anyway, Empire's a good one. Then there's Sleepwalking. Right, now Sleepwalking it's got single written all over it. I know they've done a video for it. I haven't watched it, probably won't. But again, it's that Linkin Park Depeche Mode thing. It's all the synths and the background noise. It's all a little bit Nine Inch Nails, kind of moody electronica kind of background, And it's got a big chorus, but it's kind of a poppy kind of synthy chorus. It's not very metal, really. I don't even mean that as a criticism, really. It's just like, it's metal makes me feel a certain way. The best metal does, anyway. And this just doesn't do that at all. It just sounds like it's a very modern thing. There's a lot of things that are very popular today in pop music and indie and metal, and and a lot of it is synths and those kind of slightly retro trancey sounds from the 90s, and Into Shikari have got a lot to answer for, frankly, and dropping in dubstep rhythms and all the rest of it. And I love dubstep, so I'm not not anti that at all. But something about that chorus, it just doesn't sit right with me. Anyway, whatever. Then there's Go to Hell, which again kind of exhibits this kind of pop sensibility that Bring Me the Horizon have got now, which I think in a way it suits them, and I think they're probably better suited to that kind of audience than they are to a hardcore metal crowd. Who are unlikely to embrace them really on the basis of this album, but there's a real pop sensibility to it. And I think if you're the kind of person that listens to Radio 1 and Radio 1's idea of what, especially daytime Radio 1's idea of what great rock and metal is, then this will be right up your street, because it's got riffs and everything else, and then it's got a kind of poppy chorus and that kind of dubstep tempo thing. I don't know. It's just not my bag, but whatever. I think it's good for what it is. Then Shadow Moses, which I don't like. I tried really hard to like it because people were banging on about how what an amazing move forward it was for Bring Me the Horizon, but it just sounds like lots of other things really, and the gang vocals in the bloody chorus again. I quite like the ending of it actually. It's got a kind of spooky choral effect thing at the end of it, which is quite good, and the riffs are all right. That's the thing with it. I can't really slag off the really metal bits on this album, because I think there's a lot of really good riffs. They're very much in that kind of generic metalcore meets groove metal kind of vibe. I think if you've listened to a lot of In Flames or Slipknot or I don't know, some of the better metalcore stuff, that it's that kind of thing, and they do it very well. Getting a text, lovely. But anyway, there you go. The next two tracks I don't like. And the Snakes, what's it called? And the Snakes Will Sing, or and the Snakes do something. What do the Snakes do? They start to sing, and seen it all before. Both very much the kind of synthy, atmospheric, slightly slower, less heavy kind of tracks. Lots of emoting from your boy Sykes there. It's all right. It's not awful. I don't listen to it and go, God, this is terrible, please turn it off. It's not Riot, for instance. But it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me. I'm sorry, I really wish it did. The next two tracks are better. I've got to say, though, there was a big buzz on the internet about Antivist and what an amazing track this was. Well, no, it's not amazing. I quite like it. I just find it funny. I mean, I think it's... I read an interview with Ollie Sykes where he kind of explained what the song was about, and I kind of get that. I do think it says a lot about the modern era that the thing that somebody is so wound up about that they want to write a song about, the thing that kind of dominates their thoughts when writing a song is trolls on the internet. I just think, bear in mind, Bring Me the Horizon are the band who made disparaging remarks about Black Veil Brides on Twitter and then swiftly deleted them. But anyway, trolls on the internet, really, I don't really care. That probably is an age thing. I'm 40, I can give it monkeys, Oh no, people being rude on the internet, how unusual, don't know, anyway. I mean, it's one of those songs that's going to go down a storm light. Of course it is, middle fingers up if you don't give a fuck. Regardless of whether people know what the song's about or not, everyone in the crowd's going to be doing that, It's on that level with Fuck You, I won't do what you tell me, when everybody's jumping up and down and doing what Zach De La Rocca tells them to, It's kind of funny, and I think I think Bring Me the Horizon are well aware of that, And it is, it's a sweary song where he's obviously quite cross about people on the internet, being rude and not contributing anything to humanity, and that's a valid point. But I wouldn't necessarily write a song about it. There was a hilarious bit in it where what's the lyric? I can't remember the lyric, but he says the word nothing. Okay, now Ollie's from up north, he's from Sheffield or somewhere, and so he would say he wouldn't pronounce it like I would, but he effectively says nothing. Which doesn't really help with the kind of prevailing image of Ollie Sykes as being somebody who you wouldn't necessarily want on your pub quiz team. It's fair enough if that's how he pronounces it, but he's pronouncing it wrong. That's all I'm saying. That's quite funny. The end riff of Antivist I quite like because it reminds me of Slipknot. I just think the song itself is not that spectacular, and I think and I'm aware of the irony of this, but calling somebody a cunt in a song is kind of a really cheap way to get a cheer, isn't it? And it's a bit like, oh, you trolls, you say that I'm a prick. Well, I think you're a cunt. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, all the songs that my band do have swearing in, but it's more out of desperation than trying to impress somebody, really. But anyway, there you go. So Antivist is all right if you like that kind of thing. I don't know. I think I'm probably a bit too old to be excited by that. Crooked Young, I think I prefer, actually. Crooked Young's maybe my favourite track on the album. Yeah, could well be that one. I think. Crooked Young's great. I appreciate the lyrics to it a bit more because it seems quite anti-religious. I could have missed the point, but he kind of goes "fuck your faith" and "hallelujah" and mentions Jesus and stuff. It sounds very similar to one of the songs I've written, actually, but more shouty. Well, less shouty. Don't know. Anyway, again, the chorus kicks in. It's very In Flames. It sounds very much like In Flames' recent stuff, so very melodic and all the rest of it, but with kind of vaguely harsh vocals, and it's good. It's catchy. I've heard worse, put it that way. The album finishes with a track called, what's it called? Hospital for Souls, and I quite like the image of that, and it's not, I don't know, it's kind of a mellow outro to the album, but it goes on. It seems to go on for about a year, and it's kind of a bit of a wet fart at the end of the album, really. I suppose it's an atmospheric, moody outro, but it doesn't really do it for me. But there you go. So, overall, I'd say it's about half and half. I like about half of what's going on at Sempiternal, and the rest of it I don't, really. I don't advise you to go online and start saying horrible things about Bring Me the Horizon, because I think they, for what they are and for the area of heavy music that they're playing, I think they're doing a very good job. You can hear the kitchen sinks bouncing off the studio walls. They've really thrown a lot at this and put a lot of effort into it. And if aesthetically this is the kind of stuff you like, then it's killer, and I'm sure you'll love it, and great, good for you. It doesn't resonate with me at all. I think that's the problem. One line that I did like, actually, from the opening track: "I can't drown my demons, they know how to swim." Quite like that. That was good. So all these lyrics are improving as well. But yeah, don't know. I'm not a fan particularly, but I don't hate them. I think it's all right. It's a good album. It's not game changing. Anyone who tells you that is talking out their arse. It's not fucking changing anything. But it is kind of consolidating what a certain area of the metal scene today is aiming at. And it's probably the best example thus far of that kind of stuff. But it is effectively a combination of things you've heard before. So if you've never heard Linkin Park, Depeche Mode, In Flames, or Slipknot before, then this is a groundbreaking record. Or it will be for you. Otherwise, enjoy it if you like it. Great. And if you don't, whatever. And I'll look forward to the comments down here that say, "Oh no, you can't, you've only got one testicle." Whatever. Fuck you, not bothered. Right, more of this soon. That was me reviewing Bring Me the Horizon. Imagine that. No one went to prison. Brilliant. Cheers.